over 2 decades, more than 2 decades, as a fellow numismatist. He is the director of the research at CNRS in Paris, and also a visiting professor at the University de Paris 4 at Sorbonne. Well-known name both in Sri Lanka, France, and the rest of the world. May I very respectfully invite Professor Osman Gopurachi to come to the head table and take the chair. A gentle reminder, please put your mobile phones on silent mode and attend any calls. Please step out. To attend any call, please step out of this hall. Osman Gopurachi, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ram, as I call you, Sanjay. And so we'll start straight away. I think the last paper, Sanjay, the last paper is not right? So we'll take about 18 minutes for each paper, and then at the end of each paper we'll have a discussion and final discussion. So may I ask Dr. Chandraratna and Mr. Dilan Ranavira to present their paper, a study of historical archaeology at Somavatiya sacred area in North Central Province, Sri Lanka. Please.
Good morning, everybody. Today I am going to discuss with my teacher, Dr. Chandraratna. Actually, it was conducted first archaeological excavations at the Somavatiya sacred area at 2010. Now we start a study of historical archaeology at the Somavatiya sacred area in North Central Province, Sri Lanka. The Somavatiya sacred area is situated in Meenvilu in Polanaruga, North Central Province. Actually, it is situated in the lower basin of Mahavali. It is a very longest river in Sri Lanka. This is how excavation was conducted at 2010, SNA 2010. It is excavated was carried out in the Department of Archaeology combined with the Department of Geology in the University of Peradeniya. This is our study area. You can see that this is first map. You see, it is situated in the lower part of the Mahavali river, and second map is the excavated site in the north part of the stupa. Literary evidence. The tooth relic of the Lord Buddha has been originally donated by the Venerable Mahinda. It is that Mahinda theory is not a very famous Mahinda. Arhat Mahinda, not Arhat Mahinda. Princess Somavati, a sister-in-law of King Kavantisa and Giri Abhaya. The Somanagar was ruled by the King Abhaya. Actually, we have some evidences. Jinakal Malini Dhatwansa. It is a famous Pali literature in Sri Lanka. Epigraphical evidences. There are so many epigraphical in this area. Actually, King Kutakanatisa and Mahadatika Mahanaga, King Gajaba and King Kanitatisa. Actually, between 2 century BC to 2nd century AD, some evidences in this area from the inscriptions. There are 2 inscriptions belonging to Polonaro period. Archaeological evidences around the Sari area.
If you have any questions, about 5 minutes for questions. Straight away. Yes.
I have a general question. Speak about brick structures, bricks, the use of bricks. The use of bricks. When did you find in Sri Lanka the first time that people used bricks to construct whatever stupas, monasteries? How far back does the use of bricks go in Sri Lanka?
Not only this area, no?
Whatever you know, wherever you find the first use of bricks in Sri Lanka, maybe your area or Anuradhapura.
Third century, I think. Third century, no? BC.
Third century BC, I think one of the good examples is Kantaka Mihintali. And
Abhayagiri.
then Tuparaval, yes.
You told that the canal was turned into river, and again the river was shifted down from east to west side. Can you more elaborate on this point, how a canal can be converted into river, and how when it was shifted, by which reason?
Actually, we don't have exact chronology for that, but it was established river shifted to another area because that is due to geophysical activity, but we don't know when it happened. However, currently also we can see due to heavy floods, area generally was submerged. We observe one thing, the Parakrama of the Great has constructed the Parakrama Samudra reservoir in the 12th century AD. Then after constructing the reservoir, especially flooded this area.
Thank you very much for your paper. Whenever I see you term space or map or area, my I put up ears like a dog. I'm very interested in the notion of this sacred area in the case of your investigations. How large is it, and where do you stop considering, because we have an object and then there's a special context to it, whether it's the first 50 meters, the first the 300 meters, at what point do you think that physical context no longer contributes to understanding the building or monument or substructure under investigation?
Actually, this temple area is about 50 hectares, and concerning the excavation, at the bottom we found a brick pavement. Then we stopped excavation. We are thinking to investigate further. The brick pavements belong to the Anuradhapura period. We also the bricks that are very comparable with the Abhayagiri stupas bricks.
So I understand that in such a case, this is the area is used as a device to organize, to differentiate the things which are understudied, not understudied, but not as a unit of analysis pertaining to particular structure.
Because we also there are very less flood deposits on the top of the brick pavements. Then we think that at that time there was very less flood. Now it is occurring more and more.
Just the last question I finished with this. Talking about the truth relic deposited in the stupa, one has to be extremely careful. You are based on some of the, very rare sources. And if you know the story very well, it's the Mahinda, asking for the truth relic, which was in the Naga local. Right. So when we talk about scientific archaeology and the legends, one has to be absolutely careful. The other question one I have asked to ask is that, one I would like to ask is, you talk about Roman pottery, for dating. What type of Roman pottery do you find?
Actually, it is analysis of Chandra. He had an experience of the excavated at citadel of Anuradhapura.
Actually, it's a small piece of Roman pottery. Roman means as far as my knowledge to the Sill belt, probably it belongs that was actually
so is it I mean the right situation? One has to be extremely careful. To my knowledge, there are no real Roman pottery in the country. These are most of the imitations from South India, and they were taken here. And also the whole question about the rooted ware is now discussed by Bailey and others. So if you base your chronology on the points, there's something relevant to it. One has to be extremely careful about the pottery.
Because I think Dr. Abnigal and some examine Roman pottery from Arabic, right? Then I think that they also have Hellenistic or something.
No, that's different. What Dr. Abnigal found was those are Hellenistic ware from the Persian Gulf, which I found also in the Kalini excavations. I mean, those are quite early ones. They are not Roman, but they are Hellenistic. They are Greek.
Probably under.
Yes. Thank you very much for both of you. Dr. Priyanka Jaisingh has just returned from China. The ancient cultural relations between Sri Lanka and China, according to ancient Chinese porcelain found in Sri Lanka.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Professor Mr. Usman Archaeology, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to present my brief introduction about ancient Chinese cultural relationship between Sri Lanka and China. Maybe you are a little wonder why I am talking about ancient cultural relationship, because this conference is going to archaeology and Buddhism. So first of all, I give my keywords: cultural exchange, historical geography, China and Sri Lanka, and my personal interest going Chinese ceramics. Cultural exchange means that's one of the central concept in the archaeology. So Sri Lanka and China, that the exchange is one of the important area we are discussing in the archaeology in Buddhism. So I am summarizing my study. Sri Lanka and island with their cultural and geopolitical entities in the Indian Ocean, because Sri Lanka is that very important point in the Indian Ocean. Also, far east to west, that maritime Silk Road. So I think that the point is given very important place in historical Sri Lanka even though today. You can see this map. Sri Lanka is one of the center point, midpoint. If you are talking about China, Beijing, and anyway this western part, almost it's a midpoint. So that's a very important point in my topic. Anyway, Sri Lanka is, you can see, southern part of the India, subcontinent of the Indian Ocean. That is another important point, because we are talking about Buddhism. Sri Lanka is one of the important places in the world. We are talking about Buddhism. If it is for headquarters in the Buddhism, I think it's true. So we are talking about my other keywords. You saw that historical geography. So that's I understood like historical geography means Sri Lankan location in the Indian Ocean, as well as that's the internal setup of the Sri Lanka, that country. That also very important. So I am talking that historical geography. You can see that this picture we are talking about China and Sri Lanka, that ancient relationship. This in Handal now, we are going long ago. We can see that two lines. One is red line from China, other line is blue line. So, when it's not very development maritime Silk Road, that time they are coming to Sri Lanka north part, that harbour, I can say that Mantota. So that time they use in Mantota as well as Sri Lanka as a midpoint, they are meeting points. So that's also this map also even one proof Sri Lanka is a midpoint. Also this map you can see that because we are going to study cultural exchange, we want to read ancient map also. So this map is very important because Chinese Great North Persian, Reverend Persian use this line and this map, this road. This one also some development of the trade routes, Silk Road. Song Dynasty means maybe 8th-10th centuries Silk Road. And then this one is 13th century, maybe Changha, Changha means the Chinese admiral used this, it's a great character in the, we are talking about that Chinese and Western connections. So we can see that very big development in the maritime Silk Road. This is that Joseph Nadim in 1990, his book Civilization of the Chinese civilization, that book. Also I would like to highlight why the Sri Lanka is a very important, talking about other countries or talking about the Chinese, China or other countries. I think main one is the island character. Sri Lanka is island. So island character, it's an important one. Second one is rich natural resources including flora and fauna. Also geological things. Other one is a significant maritime landscape. Sri Lanka is a round sea, it's island. We have significant port and harbours. Some one is natural. You can see Trincomalee, especially Mantota. Also very important maritime landscape. We are giving the historical landscape. Other one is today we are going that our main topic is Buddhism. Sri Lanka is a global Buddhist conservator. That's its role. So in its history, even today, Sri Lanka is one of the Nobel Buddhist conservators. That is so. You can see almost 1,600 now, but you can maybe tomorrow you are going to Anuradhapura, you can see Anuradhapura, some of Dagobah is still whitewashed, is still white. What the reason? I think that important and that powerful acting in the Buddhist conservator. The special reason for foreign attraction, I think this fourth point. Also, Sri Lanka, anyway, talking about China and Sri Lanka, I highlight 3 points. One is trade and commerce, other one is political, other one is tourism. Actually, Sri Lankan location in the Indian Ocean is given highlight for the trade and commerce, not actually not Buddhism. Other one is the political. Next, I think Buddhism. I think you agree with me because China is a very powerful country. History from even today, and they are trying to touch politically and trade and commerce. Otherwise, the Buddhism use that trade route and political route as a bridge. From Silk Road and another name for ceramic route or spicy route. But there is no Buddhism route. But actually use bridge or gold like as partial. So, it's another thing. I'm talking about the historical connection of China and Sri Lanka. We have a lot of historical evidence. Ancient Sino-Sri Lanka relations are explained and discussed in Sri Lankan historical literature as Siha Vatupakarana, 5th century AD, and Sahasra Vatupakarana, 9th century. I am highlighting some of them. And Vitsarana Jataka Atwaratapati, 12th century, and Pujavali, 13th century. That's some of one is very important literature sources. And my main point is archaeological, anyway we can talk about the Chinese. I am sorry, I can translate. There are Chinese historical sources. You know, Husan, Istin, later on Persian, they are all that, they are traveler. They are right, they are sources. It's Chinese. So I think Tachang Sichang means that one of the Chinese literature. And also we have a lot of Chinese history. Han Fu means one of this Han history, Han dynasty history. And every dynasty history they wrote by Chinese. Every that history we can mention about Sri Lanka. Sometimes about Sri Lanka, there is Susabo, it's land kingdom. 73 names I found in that, I and other scholars, Sri Lankan scholars recently found 33 names they use for Sri Lanka, ancient history. So we have very big historical sources, Sri Lanka and China, when we are talking about the China-Sri Lanka. Otherwise we have very important characters when we are talking about Sri Lanka. One is a Persian. You know, Persian is a great Buddhist monk, Buddhist character. He, for 5th century, he is coming to Sri Lanka and he stayed 2 years in Sri Lanka studying Buddhist text and recording. He returned back from Sri Lanka with trade ship, and if you use Persian travel, we can find a lot of important things about Sri Lanka in that time. I remember one is he wrote some of the Buddhist Perahara, one of the Buddhist occupation or something. Anyway, he told about Sri Lanka. Around Sri Lanka, he saw hundreds of islands, but today I think all of islands may be disappeared. Maybe one or two islands. So not only archaeology, not only Buddhism, he wrote that time situation, what was the real situation in Sri Lanka. So Persians, the travel was very important, and we are talking about China and Sri Lanka relation. And other person is Jemha, Chinese admiral 13th century. He is a very important and very important character in when we are talking about that Sri Lanka and China relationship. I am coming to my main point, because archaeological evidence. Archaeology, we can found Sri Lanka several types of archaeological evidence. Primary evidence of silt, very recently dated from Australia University. It's a dated 2nd century BC. I think so that's a very important archaeological resource. Then Chinese copper coins, we found several places in Sri Lanka. And also I think architecture and rock carvings, you can see that Chinese influence for the Sri Lankan Buddhism. And Chenhos, that is inscription, triangle, stone slab. Now we can see in the Natural Museum in Colombo. Also some of the important archaeological evidence. But my personal interest is Chinese ceramics, so I am going to explain how about the Chinese ceramics, in Sri Lanka. You can see this map. I am in a star mark. All types of figure found Chinese ceramics. My study area actually Manthai. I analyzed some of the samples from Manthai. Map is not very clear, but you can see that a red round, red circle, Tang and Song dynasty ceramic we found in Sri Lanka. Tang Song means actually Anuradhapura period. In Sri Lanka, it's a very developed period in our history. I think actually agriculturally and economically, it's a very developed area, developed period. China also. I think Tang Dynasty, China is a very powerful and very economically developed period. Anyway, Sri Lankan Anuradhapura period means more than 100 years, 1,000 years. 1,000 years. At that time, main seaport is Mantai. So we can see various type of Chinese ceramics you can found in Mantai, Magota, that ancient port. Other blue line is you can see that western and southern sea route. We can find Yuan Ming dynasty Chinese ceramic, porcelain, actually porcelain. Also, eastern part, Sikomali, we have some of the Yuan and Ming dynasty ceramics.
Can you go back to the other map first before that?
This is my samples I'm analyzing. I used some scientific methods because I told Sri Lanka is an island country. If you are talking about cultural exchange, I think that's the important scientific method because we want to find out where the provenance, we want to identify the provenance. So I use some scientific method because earlier archaeologists, he dated very clear, he dated to which period, which type of ceramic. Actually, it's very true, but I want to understand and examine what the provenance. Actually, it's China or not, or another, from another state. So I used that some of the experiments in Chinese laboratory in University of Science and Technology in China. This is a Mantai port, my research area. In Mantai, I found several type of ceramic. This is a blue one, celadon, we known as celadon, green one. Other one is a white pair. Actually, this samples from not myself excavated. This is Dr. Daraniagala and Dr. Carswell is found in 1980 to 1984. It is in Mantai excavation. So that's the difference because this type of ware only use utility as board or ship. Other one we can use normal like a tableware. This is a Chinese ceramic in Sri Lanka, found in Sri Lanka. That's a blue and white. Blue and white. So very highest technological level in the Chinese ceramics. Some of them Colombo and most of you can found in Gala and Western seabed. That's some of my findings. It's a Chinese character. This sample from Mantai. I'm used some technique because I use real Chinese ware I found in Chinese site. Help my Chinese professor. Then I compare that character and Chinese real character. And I found that site kiln is Shanling, Southern China kiln. Southern China kiln. So that's why you can say definitely that sample that we are from Southern China kiln, Shanling kiln. And Shanling is here. It's a Southern China. Also I use some scientific analysis, XRD and XRF analysis. I get a very good result. It's for the blue and white porcelain. Because I want to know blue and white porcelain, there are a lot of imitations. Islamic area and especially Southeast China, we have a lot of imitations and duplicate. So we want to do that experiment, and I found SA 10 and 15, 12, 13, 14, all are Sri Lankan samples. But I found some of them in Sri Lanka are not Chinese, especially this 13, 14 and this 4. And this is my analytical data. Every my Chinese ceramic samples, I use that result because get that result because I want to know that very clearly. I want to know which area is from, what is the prominence. Now I come in. What are the Buddhist sites and
only 3 minutes.
and important. This Archaeology site. This before conservation. Archaeology site is very important because Pahian. I told you Pahian living 2 years. This is Pahian Chinese monk. This site we found. Today you can see that in the Archaeology Museum. Very beautiful and very high technology ceramics can found in Archaeology site. And other one also Archaeology. Now I come in my conclusion. Chinese ceramics dating from the Tang dynasty to the southern Song dynasty have been discovered mainly to Buddhist monastery site. These findings suggest that at the time the use of the porcelainware was limited to royalty or monk. It is also possible that ceramics received by nobles were re-gifted to the monastics as valuable gifts. Chinese devotees also came to Sri Lanka as pilgrims to Buddhist sites. For example, 1352 Chinese coins with porcelain dated to the Song period have been under the Yapong rock fort and Buddhist temple. It is reasonable to conclude that early pottery not only arrived as item for trade but also in the form of the religious and political. I very much thank you to listen my.
Thank you, Brenda. We'll take some questions. Yeah, yes, and you after.
Yeah, it's a very insightful presentation. My one question to you is, on the basis of distribution pattern of ceramics, generally it seems that the ceramics have been generally imported from Buddhist sites. So the ritual, it seems that the exchanges were very confined in terms of, it was generally ritualistic items, one. And second thing is, you present a very coherent picture of, the cultural, linkage, trade and all. But there are inscriptions, 2 inscriptions, which talks about fierce fight between Chinese and Sri Lankans. I think that aspect, if you could, if you could highlight those, how, why, and when, all this, what was the, the main cause of conflicts, and it's not simple, very coherent kind of causal relation between Sri Lanka and China. Thanks.
It has stayed in the original temples there, and the Bhikkhuni order has been restated based on that material. Also, on the question of India and China relations, we have had a small incursion during Chen's period, but beyond that, relations have been very good, which we cannot say all the time of India, especially the last 30 years. But as an aside, you mentioned Needham, and you mentioned also Fahian and others. Now, Needham mentions tantric texts influencing astronomy in India, in China. But the majority of tantric texts were not taken from Nalanda as it came, but by Amagavajra, who took 500 tantric texts from Sri Lanka. Now, is there any, with the knowledge of Chinese evidently, is there any means of finding out those texts that were taken, whether they have scientific material, as well as, of course, the Fahian's manuscripts that he took?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I have comments and question. So I thought that a very good collection of the Chinese coins found at the Yapa site. So my I'd like to ask, what about your comment, Shanghai? Yes, Shanghai.
Let me just put some order to it. So just ask a question, Dr. Murthy's question. It's a very important one. And then we'll take up the, just straightly answer your question regarding the Chinese coins found in Yapa. They are all published by Francois Thierry long time back in a colloquium that I organized. And also the other coins we found in Sri Lanka, like the one that recently found in Kurnagal, 4,000 coins. They are all Southern Song dynasty coin, along with some Vietnamese imitations. So that's there. So let us take the question now, just 5 minutes. Dr. Murthy,
yeah, also actually, I know that astronomy also developed in China. But you mean that
The answer question was very simple.
Yeah.
Amogawachura, the Han dynasty, took 500 tantric texts from Sri Lanka. Then, a couple of few centuries earlier, Fahian took some other. Now, can we retrieve those? Is it possible to retrieve? Because those should have tremendous intellectual value,
I heard, but I am not deep study that thing because I am going to follow that Chinese ceramics. But I heard, I don't think so because that long time I never found any.
These are very well-known things.
Yeah.
Many people have written on it very well.
Yeah, Susanna, just to answer your question, by of course, it's very difficult to find those texts taken by Fahian and Amogawachura, which is very difficult unless you do a deep research. Once again, you have to explore all the Dunhuang caves and other places and just to see whether we can recover them. If you find them, they will be in the Chinese version. So just to conclude this discussion, as said unfortunately, if you don't read French, all the Chinese texts concerning Sri Lanka, there are about 44, they are all translated into French and they are published, they will be published by reports quite soon. And all the Chinese coins are now, we know they are all from the Southern Song period. Some of them are published by Francois Thierry, so we have a clear idea about it. Now regarding the Chinese porcelain, as you said, Tansen Sen has written a very critical view about the Chinese contacts. So it's very difficult to make, I know Sri Lanka is in a very central position. The Chinese way of trading is not the way of the Romans and Greeks have traded. It's completely different. You can't trace Chinese trade only through ceramics or only through coins. There are a lot of fluctuations. So I think one should really stick to the text written recently published by Tansen Sen, how these things are fluctuated in the area. We are starting from the 4th century. The Buddhist nuns going to China, and there was no trade at all, just purely Buddhist. And then we are coming to the 8th century, Tang dynasty, and then followed by the Southern Song dynasty. And there you get some trade elements as well as the Buddhist elements. Still, we cannot have a complete picture about the trade based on that. So one has to be extremely careful. So I think we need to read most of the works done by Francois Thierry, Tansen Sen, Jeffrey Wade, and others. So it's quite important. Thank you very much. By Professor Mandaville, well-known archaeologist, on Buddhism in Eastern Sri Lanka through archaeological evidences.
Okay.
Well, I should first of all tell you why this topic was chosen, because everyone knows the Buddhism in Eastern Province also. But this is a special thing which I thought of writing when I was called upon by the Director General of the Department of Archaeology as well as the National Heritage Ministry to write a proposal purely to obtain how to obtain finances for the conservation of Nilgiri Mahasaya. This is the only thing that they told me to go and do a proposal to get financial aid from the treasury. So I went to Nilgiri Mahasaya and did some not just only superficial investigations, and I thought that the things that I have found in that visits was related to the different types of monasteries that we found in Anuradhapura. Those are remaining in this area as well. So that's why I thought this has to be put forward, and then my proposal was just not only related to how to find money or proposal to conserve the Nilgiri Mahasaya, but the entire area which is around the Lahubal area, to see what are the remaining monasteries and what are the correlations between the different monasteries existed in Anuradhapura during the Anuradhapura period, which has been investigation well written by Dr. Uransilla, Professor Premutilaka, Professor Bandarnayaka and various scholars. So I will just start beginning just giving an introduction to the Anuradhapura. And the Anuradhapura 4th century to 10th century it was dated, and there had been 130 kings ruling there for 1,400 years. And the Anuradhapura city consists of inner city, the citadel, and then the great monasteries around it, and then the man built reservoirs as well as these well-known factors. You can see that it has about the archaeological evidences is scattered over about 16 square miles, and then you see the citadel in the middle, and there are 2 rings of great monasteries, and then the water tanks. And you can see that this is the city planning. You see the citadel in the middle, and then you see the main monasteries, Abhegiriya, Jetavana, and other big stupa, those main monasteries, and then the water tanks. And then you get the settlements around it, and then the other monasteries in the outskirts of Anuradhapura. And these monasteries could be divided into, by various scholars, divided into 3 types: Mahavihara, Panchavasa, Upapada Vihara types, and the Vanavasa types. And you see the Mahavihara types, the Abhegiriya, it was investigated, and Dr. Roland Silva and Professor Premutilaka says that there have been 5,000 monks living there, and central point is stupa. All the Mahavihara type monasteries, the focal point is a stupa, great stupa, and then you get pottery time, shrine, chapter house, image house, then wedding house or preaching halls, Annapatshala, refectory, bathing halls, hot water baths, and various residential units. And these are the plans of the 2 main monasteries. You can see that the stupa here is the one. This is the Mahavihara monastery, and you get the Abhegiriya monastery, stupa, and it is a focal point. And then when you go to Jetavana, it's also almost the same. And then, Panchavasa or Padvata Vihara type, you get a sacred quadrangle in the middle, which consists of bottle shrine, image house, chapter house, and a stupa. Then shrine complex outskirt, then the dwelling platform, mound, outer platform, and the bond wall. So these are some of the examples. You can see each of these monasteries, the middle portion is the sacred quadrangle with these main elements, and you get the cells, and there are certain outskirts, the other buildings also. And then when you go to Vanavasa type, it has been about 550 monks in residence, and well, there are two types: single unit, single cell or multiple cell units with other buildings in these monasteries. And you can see the single cell unit. You will see the single cell is right round. There's a wall, and there are ancillary buildings around this. So these are the two examples. And the multiple cell is reticular, and these areas, forest monasteries, you will see that there is a central area where the pilgrims or the deities comes, and all the other cells are scattered right out in the jungle. Right now, in this particular area, in this time, Anuradhapura is up here, and this has been divided into 4 different sections: the Uttara Desha, Rohana, Madhya Desha, and Kalyan. So I am just focused about the Rohana, and in this Rohana area, when I visited in this particular site, I managed to find that there are several monasteries around this particular area. This is the Nilagiri Saya, which is in the thick jungle. It is inside the forest reserve, and then you get various temples. This is the Kirivahera, Magul Mahavihara, then Mulanduge caves, and there's the Kotta Gala Vihara, and there are certain buildings identified here but not named here, and there is a Nilagiri mountain also. So when I see these particular areas, I could categorize these areas, these monasteries in this Lahogula area, also relation to these particular 3 types that we have seen in Anuradhapura. So these are the various types which I was telling you, and this is the Nilagiri Saya. Its circumference diameter is about 200 feet, and the height is, at the moment, the ruin height is about 75 meters and 75 feet, and you can see the yashtiya is still on top of this, lying there, still on, because most of the yashtiyas we found in the ground, but here it is still lying on the top of this mountain. And you can see this is the stupa, and you can see bits and spaces of various stone pillars and things scattered around. So that's why I was thinking that this should have been a Mahavihara type. Now, they started investigating it. Now, what I thought in April last year is coming to life, and now they are finding these particular different types of cells and buildings right around this particular area. So we have to wait and see how many we are going to find, and then we can see how much of priests were living here. And then, well, the other Panchavasa type, I thought of this. Of course, this Magul Mahavihara well known. It is a Panchavasa type. This Poran Silva's plan of it, and it is well known. But what I am interested is, this Kotavahira Vihara, you get, it is within a hillock, and you get the stupa as well as right round there are stones, still not investigated. So by looking at it, it may be again one this Panchavasa type. And it's strange that nothing has done in this Kirivahera Vihara, which is also, I believe, according to remains here, if we investigate, we will find again similar type of Panchavasa type, and nothing has been done in this particular area just by the side of the road. But when you really visit there, you will see the remnants of the sacred quadrangle there. But nothing has been done up to now. So we have to investigate and see. And then the Vanamasa type, I am telling the Kulanduke caves, but the exception is that you get Buddhist, normally Vanamasa type, you won't get Buddhist statues. So, but here you get a Buddhist statue as well as these people were staying. And this Nilagiri mountain, right, I was not able to go there, but our high priest has gone there and he has recorded it. There are various steps and the flight of steps and various buildings. You can see it is very, very difficult to climb this hill, but I think that it might be something related to Reticula and that area. So my perception is during this Anuradhapura period, now if you imagine 5,000 living in Abhayagiriya and 500 living in the Panchavasa type, 50 living in the Vanamasa type. In each monastery, if you imagine, if you take into account of the monasteries that were there, how much of monk population would have lived, and from that onwards, how much of Buddhist population has lived there in order to cater to this priesthood. And if you come to the similar type here, not only in the Anuradhapura, but even in the eastern part of Sri Lanka, if you can identify and conserve these areas, there would have been a similar Buddhist population and monk population would have been lived in this particular area. So that is what I was interested, and that's what I proposed to the Department of Archaeology, and I hope that in near future they will investigate all these and we might be able to see a similar Anuradhapura monastery layout in this particular area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mandavila. So may I ask all the three speakers to come here and we'll have a discussion for about 15 minutes until we break for lunch. So first we take the questions on Professor Mandavila's paper. Questions, please. Yes, Mike.
The sites you pointed out, are they accessible?
Yes,
I mean, are they accessible for normal people like me on the road? Can you point out, I mean, for example, if you are in, I don't know, Buduvurgavala, how far to, probably more to the east, the sites you pointed out? From Velavaya?
From?
Velavaya.
Velavaya. Velavaya is very, very close. I think about 20-30 kilometers. It's very close to Velavaya.
To the east.
To the east. Okay. From Velavaya to the Lahugala road, if you go there to the Lahugala, you can find it is A4 road.
And is it, do you have any traces? What school is it? Is it Mahayana? Is it Theravada? Is it, do you have any idea what it was?
In Sri Lanka you get all.
And last question.
If you go to Anuradhapura, if you go to Mahavihara, still we are yet to find out the image house.
And
so, but when you go to Abhayagiriya, you find fantastic image houses. So it is a mixture. I think Theravada is the predominant, but maybe Mahayana maybe existent, but still we don't know.
And would you have any clue about the ancient connection to Java, Indonesia?
Just answer all your questions. And this morning I gave my paper about the Mahayanism in Sri Lanka, so the morning session, about the distribution pattern of architectural images in the country. So as Professor Mandavila said, it starts as a Theravada element, but by the 9th century there's a huge expansion of Mahayanism. Started with the Mahasen at the end of the 3rd century, beginning of the 4th century, building huge stupas. But the real Mahayana cult as Avalokiteshvara as a hero of Sikh and the protector of mariners, it starts from the 8th century onwards. If you look at all the sites, all the port sites in Sri Lanka, you get a statue of Avalokiteshvara. So it's a period of time. So you get the Mahayana images in the sites originally attached to Theravadism, but it develops and then again goes back to Theravadism. But it's still continuous thing. Now going back to the other connections of Java and Southeast Asia, it's very clear. The impact of South India on Southeast Asia is very discussed, especially from Nagarjunakonda and Amravati. We had an impact of the Amravati Andhra school, and then from here it goes to again to Thailand, Burma, and also something that we forget when we have not given much attention is to what's happening in Indonesia. All the sites around Borobudur, there's a huge impact of Sri Lankan art in these areas. So which is a huge subject, but these are of course interconnected.
Around 5th, 6th century ED. And There are several Mahaviharas in India also, like Nalanda, Vikramshila, etc. And all Mahaviharas has been studied in broader spatial context, like use of mandala. That is also one of the important features. Generally, it has been outlined by many scholars. So, what do you think? Is there a sort of the layout or the plan or something? It was. Do you see any paradigm shift in terms of layout of Mahavira? Gregory Chopin has argued a lot about this Mahavira term, and the facilities which a lot of things, luxuries, the medicines and everything. Then Gandhakuti aspect is also very important. Gandhakuti also became very important. So these are also, Mahayana literature. There is a much influence of Mahayana in Buddhism. So I want to, like to have a comment from you.
Yeah. The Mahavira was established. That is the first Buddhist monastery. When Mahinda came to Sri Lanka, and when he was at that time staying in Hintale, and when he was going during the night to have his good night sleep there, it says that in the Mahavansa the king was a little bit shaken that every time in the night he goes there, and he met one day and asked from the Mahinda that why are you going back, because I have given you a place to stay and things like that. And then he has said that it is very difficult to stay in the night in this particular place which is closer to the citadel, which is full of music and things like that. That's why I'm going there. Then the king thought, and he offered the Mahamengavana, and he is one of the pavilions there to stay. So from there, that onwards, the Mahavihara commenced in that time during the King Devanamrita's time, and the sacred tree was brought and it was planted. And then within the space of several kings, it grew up. And that is the first monastery which was built in Sri Lanka. And then it was, they had a small stupa, Tuparama. Then when King Durgamanu's time, they built this colossal stupa of Jetavana. The one is sad. And now when you really see the present pattern in this particular area, almost all the buildings are centered around this. But there is a main access point from the citadel to the Srimhabur. That is the only exception, but all the others are around. So that is from there onwards the real building of the main colossal, great monasteries began. And when they shifted it to Abhigiriya during the next king's time, then again the stupa was centered, and it is the focal point, and it was built. And Jetavana is the same. So that's how it's built. Now, if you go to these particular monasteries, I think you are visiting, you will see this particular thing. And I think that I don't know whether you will be able to go. You can climb to the top of the Abhigiriya stupa because it is being conserved, and Jetavana was now completed. When you go to the top, you will see this particular pattern, how it is layout is right around this. That's why when Dr. Rochilla and they studied this, there are three significant features of these monasteries. So this Mahavihara, although it is called presently Mahavihara, it was the first Buddhist monastery established in Sri Lanka, and it has the focal point of the stupa, and the others are built around that. But in Mahavihara and Abhigiriya, you have other two small stupas as well as.
Divakar, for this you read my book also, and for Henry Parker book, Ancient Law. You will get clear what is Mahavihara is very different terms. Okay, sir, in fact, you are really pushing a very good research on the demographical one. Presence of the, even in ancient time, always this power has been changing between the so-called branchical forces and the. So that, what was the percentage of the population at that time? Because that was not less, because obviously Radhaku has been shifting between these two. So that should be also at that time the population of the so-called population like Buddhism came in fight this one, and later on again we see the Vaticani has lived in that. So that is really very good research and demographic. What are the population of the like different other monks like recent back in Mahavir, you know that one.
Yeah.
So that population based studies should be done.
So actually that's what I am also telling, that my advice to the department was also that by excavating or investigating these particular now recently they have started in other places like the Rajagala and various areas, and it is being now investigated, and Rajagala we have visited there, and there are about 50 different caves in the mountain where the priests were living. So if you can find 50 different caves that the priests were living, and there should have been a Buddhist population, because they, especially in the caves, they are Vanavasa monks, and the people has to come and offer their day-to-day meals and things like that. They have to take care of them. So we have to think in terms of now shifting the department's investigation in this area, and by using that we will be able to highlight the population, because we know Anuradhapura, then the other places, but here we have to now step into these areas as well. That's why I was pushing them.
Shall we take some questions from the other two papers as well? Do you have any questions regarding this? No questions. Okay, so let me conclude just to trace up the question you raised about the Mahavihara. As you said, Mahavihara is just one establishment in Anuradhapura, the oldest, and the two other, Abhegiri and Jetwanaram and then Dakinan. The arguments developed by Gary Chopin cannot be related, it's not in that Mahavihara sense. So what we mean in Sri Lanka is just the original Theravada state where the Theravada Buddhism was introduced, and then the other Viharas started. Those are monastic units of Abhegiri, maybe the Mahayana tendency. But you get the Gandapudi tradition in Sri Lanka developed by Chopin, regarding Indian context, Kandahar and other places. So, Gary Chopin has never traveled. So his first time he's coming to Sri Lanka this August, next August. So I'm going to take him around, and so he will have a look at that. So again, regarding your paper, Professor Mandavila, so about the East Coast. So you correctly said just now the Rajagala is very important, and also last summer we were excavating at Kuchaveli, which is very interesting. We absolutely get evidence for Upasotagara and also for an image house and also other places. Unfortunately, the whole site was occupied by the Sri Lankan Navy and the police. So hopefully the Navy has gone now. They have evacuated the site. So you can find that, and also at Velgamveda, very close to Trincomalee. So you get, tens and types of this type of Panchavasa tradition in Sri Lanka, in the East Coast. And curiously, but they are mainly contemporary to the Anuradhapura period. So we got the C14 analysis done for the Kuchaveli, two samples analyzed in two countries. The site goes back at least to the 1st century AD, if not earlier. So we get a parallel civilization in the East Coast with the Anuradhapura. Of course, Anuradhapura was the capital, and it has own structure. The question you raised about the population, it's very difficult. We haven't done any work so far about the population. At least we know 5,000 monks lived in Archaeology. That's right. This is what Pasian says. In the 5th century. So 3,000 in Mahavihara and 2,000 in Meenkala and other places. To nourish this huge Buddhist community, about 10,000 in Anuradhapura, you need to have a big population, Buddhist population. So nobody has ever done this work. So I just wanted to encourage the two young scholars taking up the questions of Soma area and also looking at the Chinese collections, and to do more research and to be more scientific as possible not to be a slave to the legends, and in Sri Lanka it's happening now. So one has to be extremely careful and to do more scientific research in the country, and we get so much to do in this country. According to the Director General of Archaeology, there are 250,000 ancient sites in the country, so there is a lot to be done. So by encouraging the young scholars and Professor Mandavile for training the young scholars and Chandraratna and other professors. So I thank you all for your questions and the participants and also the speakers here. And thank you very much. Have a nice lunch.